for our cheese scones is some plain flour. If you haven't got plain flour, you could use wholemeal flour, you could use spelt flour. If you've got self-raising flour, you could use self-raising flour and cut down on the baking powder. I think I said if you're using self-raising, just do 1 of the teaspoons of baking powder that I said to use. So we're going to get cracking with these scones. So I've got my flour in the bowl here, mixing bowl, and I'm going to start by chopping up my butter. I've got some cold butter here that I'm just going to chop up into cubes. There we go, just going to chop it up into little cubes. We want the butter to be nice and cold so that it holds its shape in the scone. If it melts in it, you won't get nice pockets of buttery goodness. It will all just be a big goop. You won't get the breadcrumb effect that we're looking for. Okay. So we're going to put our butter in. The next thing that's going to go in is half a teaspoon of sea salt. So I've got my teaspoon measure, I've got my sea salt here, going to go half a teaspoon of sea salt. Oh, if you don't have butter as well, how much butter? It is 50 grams of butter. And if you haven't got butter, you can use marge. If you haven't got butter, that margarine would be fine. And it was 225 grams of flour. That's plain flour. Okay. The next thing that's going to go in with our butter, flour and salt is some baking powder. And we're going to go in, that is the salt. Don't put 3 teaspoons of salt in. We're going to go 3 teaspoons of baking powder. 3 level teaspoons as well. So you just get it up to the top of the spoon like that. Pop that in. Okay. And then we're going to get cracking with rubbing that fat into the flour. So this is the thing that everyone's probably, have you guys done that before? You must have done this before. Rub the fat into the flour. Okay. And you're just using your fingertips to do that. Okay. If you use your palms of your hands, they'll be too hot and it will just melt the butter and it will make a big mushy mess rather than making our fat and flour mixture look like breadcrumbs, which is what we're looking for. And you can lift it up a little bit between your fingertips. Is anyone actually cooking along now? Or are you going to send me some pictures of what you've been... Hi, Nom! Hi, paused. Is it paused for anyone else? Or can you guys all still see me? So, this is fat in flour in between our fingertips, raising it up a little bit. I've been in the kitchen this morning doing some other videos as well, so I'll be posting those on the Instagram TV channel. Okay, so we're just lifting it up high like this. That's fat into flour. Is it still paused for you, Rosie? Okay, we're just going to keep coming like this. And this is the same method you would do. Hello! This is the same method that you would use if you were going to make short crust pastry as well. And some of you might have noticed. Okay, all right, thank you. Thanks for telling me that. So some of you will have noticed that we're not in our beloved Brighton kitchen today. Okay, thanks. We're not in our beloved Brighton kitchen today. Obviously, it's for the best because of everything that's going on. Okay, thanks. Because of everything that's going on at the moment. But it's still sad not to be there. But I'm here, yay! So that's good, in my kitchen at home. So we're going to keep cracking with that. Fingers, fingers, fingers. Did anyone see any of my videos I put on Charlotte's Brighton with me baking with my little girl? Here we go. So we're just going to keep going with that until it starts to resemble breadcrumbs. You can sing a song if you wanted to, taking a little while. You sing a scone song. La, 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 la. Right, so This is now resembling quite fine breadcrumbs. And I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients now. So I've got some cheese. I've decided to go for a mixture of extra mature cheddar and some red Leicester. You can use whatever hard gratable cheese you fancy. What some other cheeses you could put in? You could put some Gruyere in, that would be quite nice. A bit of Wensleydale would be nice, especially on the top, that would melt down good. Okay, keep going with this. Grate. Great. Feeling great. So we're going to keep going with that. Careful not to grate your finger. Doesn't matter if there's a few chunky bits as well, because that goes quite nice in the baked thing, in the baked scone. Chunky bits quite good. Okay, keep going like this. And if there's any big bits that you can't quite grate, you can just chop those up. Chop up any bigger bits up like that with a knife. Okay, so we're going to put our grated cheese into the mixture. And the next thing we're going to go in with is some chives. And I'm going to use some scissors just to chop those straight. Hi! Oh, the small chef, I know today that me and the small chef did some baking together earlier today, but we decided that it is a little bit easier for me to show you guys a recipe without small chef all the time, but she will be back. Little chef will be back. So we are going to use the scissors to just snip the chives. Oh, for those of you that don't know, that makes no sense at all. On my other channel, on my personal channel, Charlotte's Brighton, I've been doing live baking videos with my daughter, Essie. She's 3. So that's who the small chef is, if anyone was wondering that reference. So we're going to scissor the chives in. If you don't have chives, someone made a really good suggestion that I was really excited about. The green bits off a spring onion, or just like a spring onion would be so tasty. You could also put a teaspoon of mustard in, or you could go with some caramelised onion mixed through there, would be really tasty as well. And we're just going to give that a stir. Okay, give that all a big stir around. And we're going to go in with our liquid now. Oh, do you know what I've done? I've put all the cheese in rather than, hang on a sec. I forgot to save some cheese for the top, which is really important. So we're going to put we've got 60 ml of milk and 60 ml of water mixed together in a jug. I'm going to tip that in with our dry ingredients. And I'm just going to bring that together. And before I started, I had my oven preheated to 200 degrees. Okay, so we're just going to take the spoon out now and get in there with our hands. So you can see it's coming together as a dough now. Just going to bring that dough together with our hands. We don't want to overwork the dough. We just want to do it so it comes together. If we work it too much, the gluten will become too activated, and it will make it tough. Okay, and we don't want that. We want nice, light, fluffy scones. Okay, so we're just going to turn that out. And then, I don't like to use a rolling pin when I make scones. I don't think there's any need for it. So I'm just going to flatten. Can you see what I'm doing there? I'm just going to flatten the mixture out a bit. And now, a really good tip with scones is this. If you start with a nice chunky dough, you'll get a nice big chunky scone. It sounds obvious, but it's true. They do rise, but they don't rise lots and lots and lots. So if you start with a big bit of dough, hello, hi. If you start with a big bit of dough, you'll end up with a nice big scone, and I do like mine quite big. So, like this, and then you could do, I'm going to make them quite big. I think that's about an 8 centimetre cutter, or you could use a slightly smaller one. And with this 8 centimetre one, you should get about 5 of these. So what I'm doing just there If you move your cutter around in the flour a little bit, it coats the inside slightly and it helps you get a smoother cut, which you'll get a smoother side, which means it will rise more evenly. Okay, so you can just pop that on there, push it down. So get your first one on your tray. Got my tray here. So I'm going to go with my flour, the cutter in my flour again. I'm going to cut again. Okay, another one on the tray. I'm going to, hello. Right, I'm going to go around again like this. Push down again on the tray. Like so. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to push the dough back together. We're not going to knead it. We don't want to, like I was saying earlier, we don't want to overwork the dough. We're just going to push it back together into another sort of like flat shape. Do you remember what I said as well? Remember to keep it fat. If you keep it nice and fat like that, you'll get a nice big scone at the end of it. Okay, so you're going to just put this into your flour again to coat the cutter. Push down. And for anyone that missed that, I coated the cutter like that so that you get a nice smooth line on your scone. And that is going to rise up really nicely. Okay, so I'm going to push it round together on itself again. Remember to do your cutter again. Push down. And for anyone that's just joined or wasn't here at the beginning, I'm Charlotte and I lead on lots of cookery classes at the kitchen, community classes and commercial classes, and unfortunately we can't be in the kitchen today, but I'm here in my kitchen at home. If anyone's wondering why, well obviously you know why we're not at the kitchen, but just to acknowledge that. Okay, so I've got a little nubbin left. I'm just going to pop that on the tray as it is. And then I've got a little bit of, I know I said use an egg to glaze it, but you can just use milk. Milk is fine. Just a little bit of milk in a cup with a brush. And you're just going to brush the tops of the scones. And then what I had meant to say before was save a little bit of your grated cheese to top them with, which I forgot to do because I got a bit overexcited chucking the cheese in. So I'm just going to grate a little bit more for the top. Okay. I'm going to top them with a little bit more cheese. Okay. I'm going quite generous with it. It tastes amazing when it's got loads of cheese on. And then you can top it with toppings of your choice. So I'm going pumpkin seeds on mine. You could put chilli flakes, which would taste really, really good. Some poppy seeds, sunflower seeds, any other seeds would all be really tasty. Gives a bit of extra crunch and a little bit of hi. It gives a little bit of extra crunch and a little bit of extra like healthiness on there. Okay, so let me just show you how lush they look before they've even gone in. Oh, sorry. It's all very exciting. Yay. Okay, so those are going to go in our hot preheated oven that's been preheated to 200 degrees. And we're just going to pop those in the oven. And they are going to bake for about 15 minutes. But the only real way to know, the only real way to know if they're baked is by looking at them. Okay, so here's some that I made earlier. Okay, so you can see from these that I made earlier with Essie, with Little Chef. They're nice and golden brown on the bottom. They're nice, the cheese is melted and golden on top. And if you're unsure if it's baked, the best thing you can do is just take one out of the oven and you can just break it open. Have a little look inside. And if the dough doesn't look stringy and it doesn't still look wet, then it's good to go. Bear in mind, it's got so much cheese in that it will still feel soft even when it's baked. So don't be tempted to keep going until it feels really, really firm, because it will, once it cools off, it will be really hard and overbaked. So I think that's it on cheesy savoury scones. Has anyone got any questions about what I've just done?